In today's episode of Pride, you will learn about the life and work of another incredibly talented family. Saule Suleimenova and Kuanysh Bazargaliyev are artists whose names are known far beyond the borders of our country. And despite the fact that they create their paintings in different techniques and styles, together they are a wonderful creative duo. Hello, you're watching Pride and I'm Aleftina Madyarova. Today, as always, in the focus of the project are Kazakh citizens that conquered the world and gave us a reason for pride. Their stunning successes, albeit unconditional, are very, very different. Let's meet Saule Suleimenova and Kuanysh Bazargaliyev. Saule Suleimenova is a modern Kazakh artist, painter, actress, lecturer. Born on April 29, 1970, in Almaty. Member of Kazakh Artists Union. Participant of the first local underground exhibitions of the legendary group Green Triangle. Holder of Kazakh President's Scholarship of 1998. Kuanysh Bazargaliyev is a modern Kazakh artist, painter, born in Aqtobe in 1969. Laureate of the first prize of the Central Asian Festival Zhiger 99. After graduating from the Industrial Art School in Safonovo, Russia, he continued his education at the Aqtobe Pedagogical Institute and received a diploma in teaching art and design. Contemporary art is the subject of much controversy and often attacks. You will agree that things foreign often cause, if not rejection, then at least caution. Saule, being passionate about experiments, is not afraid to try new things, and what is important, succeeds in them. She can create paintings on top of shabby garages and city fences, or she can cover the walls and ceilings with angels. Recently, plastic bags have become her material. The artist was able to turn those discarded, useless packages into an object of art. Funny how this idea appeared in Astana. We walked with our beloved Slutsky family. There is such an Eurasian cultural alliance, which holds the Artbat Fest, which takes place every year in Almaty. They also do something in Astana. So we walk across Astana and I say to Igor Slutsky, the founder of the Artbat Fest, that I want to make something from the plastic bags because they are very picturesque. Every time you open this cabinet under the sink, there is so much color. And they're shiny, because the plastic itself, polyethylene, is shiny by definition and saturated in color. Whether it was a sudden insight or a long way to choosing a new direction is hard to tell now. But one way or another, the idea of paintings made of plastic in the life of Saule is closely connected with our capital. I came home then to my mother's home in Astana, dumped the plastic bags that she had out, and laid them out in a form of flowers, made such a still life. I took a picture of it and sent to Kuanysh, my husband. He wrote back wondering, where did you get the paint? You have no materials there. How do you work there? I say no, these are plastic bags. I realized then that it was really cool, and there was little left to do, find a way to attach it to canvas. Putting creative process aside, the search for solutions of a technical nature took a couple of years. What to use as a canvas, how to attach it, what work technique to choose. At this point, one has to feel almost like a builder. The very first work I did for the Artbat Fest. I just took two plexiglasses, laid out the bags and pressed them between the two glasses. But this is no good. Actually, the bags are impossible to glue. At some point, I quit altogether. I didn't want to do this because it's hard, they're very capricious. And then I had an idea to use a glue gun, silicone sticks. So in the end, this is all plastic. There are no artistic materials. There is silicone, which melts and becomes liquid. There are plastic bags, and even the surface on which I'm working is a construction film. The search for the ideal technique is not over. Saule continues to improve her signature technique even now, adding new elements, techniques, and materials. I know that there are entire villages in South Africa that make rugs and bags out of plastic bags. There is an African artist who cuts and weaves them, a principle similar to that of those villages. I'm a painter. For me, color and tone are very important. And that's why I have a fundamentally different approach towards the bags. I treat them as a painting. In addition to various colors, plastic allows you to play with textures, but finding the desired fragment that fits perfectly into the artist's plan is not so easy, and only the creator's instinct tells which piece of plastic will fit the concept of the picture best. This is a gift bag. You've seen them most likely. Look how much color it has. It's not even black, it's sort of a dark brown. There is beige, shades of gray. I take what piece I need, I glue it and cut away the rest. The result of the work is not only impressive, but also quite unexpected. Who would have guessed, for example, that with the help of plastic bags, it would be possible to convey so well the texture of the fabric? I have come up with such a cool idea. I'm very happy about it. I take and crumple the bag, trying to cut practically nothing. All that I crumple, I just distribute and glue on the piece I need. Thus, I enhance the effect of the texture and make proportions I need. Nevertheless, it is not the first time for Suleimenova being in the forefront of contemporary art. And we're not only talking about the unusual techniques or non-standard subjects. The creative family duo of Saule Suleimenova and Kuanysh Bazargaliyev can be called pioneers of Kazakh artists abroad, because they became the first representatives of Kazakh art, whose works were sold at Christie's auction. In 2008, for the first time in history, works of Kazakh residents were presented and sold at the Christie's auction house. Among the 5 guests were Saule and Kuanysh. When they invited Kuanysh and me, they did not know that we are husband and wife. And when we arrived, we were placed in different rooms. We also have different surnames. It was very funny. At that time, the artist was just trying her hand in a new direction. It was a new project, Kazakh Chronicle. I then came up with such an idea. I took photos of different walls, old garages, printed them on a banner and painted over them. The paintings were also like from the past. At the auction, I put out for sale the work named Dalaga Shagams. The background photo was of an entrance door to an apartment building. It looked picturesque with various half-torn ads, and the painting over it was of an old Kazakh woman, our typical old lady, in a headscarf and with a little granddaughter who had a hot pink bow. I wanted to find real people like that. I walked around the city, but I couldn't find them and I had to imagine them. It was sold for $70,000.
И она была продана за $70 000.
An unconventional look at ordinary things that we see every day helps artists discover new genres and trends in the visual arts. Take, for example, the very painting on the fences, or more precisely, on banners with city backstreets printed on them. These ads or these signs, keep the driveway clear or do not block the entrance, various locks, some graffiti, and all this together, all these walls create such an effect that you cannot draw intentionally. These layers, the touch of different people, you yourself will never be able to do it on purpose. If you will try to do it, it will still be something artistic, because an artist always has the baggage of aesthetic preferences. Therefore, it seemed to me very important to photograph these backgrounds. Saule also engages in symbolism that perhaps originated from nomadic roots and traditions. The ancient philosophy, folk motifs, modern trends, all this can harmoniously exist on one canvas. I had a whole series named arwahs, or spirits. That is when the characters are transparent, as if they're here and not here at the same time. But this is how we live, because our guardian angels, our ancestors, they assist us. There's a word in Qazaq, arwahta, which means a talented person. The artist treats the theme of ancestors with special trepidation and respect. Often it is their images that inspire her to create new canvases. This work is called Mariam Apa. It is based on an old family photo. This is my grandmother Mariam Apa with her friends. She married my grandfather Suleimenova when she was 11. That's how it was then. She just began living in her husband's family right off the bat, as a child. And these relatives of her husband became her friends, older sisters. This photo was taken in Akhmola in 1924-28. You can see that they looked pretty progressive. Their hair was cut in the fashion of that time. These two friends of hers were also repressed. I don't remember her name, but she's some kind of nobility or aristocratic blood. She lost her mind. And Makurapa, I remember her. In my childhood, they used to get together in the evenings, smoke Bilamor Canal cigarettes, remembering something. Although they did not share anything. So for me, this is sort of an autobiographical work. Many people have told me that I look like Mariam Apa. My father bore resemblance to her. And here I started playing with these folds for the first time. When I take the bags and just wrinkle them without cutting off the excess, but trying to utilize the whole bag. One of the most ambitious works of Saule, made of plastic bags, was a canvas called Sky Above Astana, located in the capital's Jitusu Park. This art object needed more than 5,500 plastic bags. To create a picture of 15 square meters is not an easy task, and Saule worked on it with her husband. Some people would come closer and watch. Once, a dad with his daughter came up, watched for a long time. And then the girl, probably about 9 years old, turns to her dad and says, "Dad, you're looking, but you don't understand. You need imagination." Tell me about these works. This one. Who are these cute old ladies? This is practically one of the first works. In 2014, I understood everything about plastic bags. I just came from Hong Kong, and it seemed to me that this is such a sign of modernity, a sign of current life, all these things. And the old ladies are from the past. In general, I like to play with time. When you mix up time, past, present. The artist devotes a whole series of her works to this game with time. This work is from my project called Residual Memory. In this project, I'm trying to restore something from the past, referring to old photos, documents, that is, not making anything up. I do not use my imagination, but I try to be as accurate as possible. And the plastic bag provides this connection with the present.
По возможности точной. И вот пакет, он как бы дает вот эту контактность с нашим настоящим.
The fact that prototypes of the characters are an important page in real history gives a special atmosphere to many paintings in this series. This is Abai's family. This photo was recently found. Abay is surrounded by his family. I really like this photo because he's very calm here, not pretentious at all. And then I began to dig further and found that he was like Mayakovsky for the Silver Age. He gathered young people who were looking for something new, avant-garde, in poetry, in music. And his whole family was his associates, like-minded people. And they played music and exchanged new ideas all the time. Before starting the work, Saule once again carefully studied the biography of the great philosopher. He's generally the first person who tried to talk about women's rights. Because he sort of inherited his brother's wife. According to the Kazakh law, he had to marry the wife of his deceased brother. He then brought up this topic. Why don't they ask women if they want to remarry? Maybe they don't want to. That is surprising in general. This is the woman. They were very good friends. She outlived Abay and his sons and his beloved wife. This desire for justice, for equality between people around the world, is reflected in other areas of the talented artist's life. Every person is a child of a woman. One of our meetings with Saule took place on the 8th of March, the International Women's Day, during the Women's March in Almaty. As it turned out, some of the things that for many have become an indispensable attribute of this holiday, such as presenting a bouquet of tulips and washing dishes, are not at all relevant in the family of artists. As Kuanysh and I have now understood, we have balanced our responsibilities a long time ago. A lot of what he does is considered feminine, meaning you don't have such a gender divide in everyday life at home. No, and for this reason, it doesn't make sense at all to force him to do things he already does every day. And why didn't Kuanysh come out for the march today? He generally avoids publicity now. He doesn't like appearing in public. So it's not because he is with his grandson now. Well, that too. The boy sleeps so peacefully right now. Cool. It's not only on March 8th. Kuanysh does everything he feels responsible for. Saule's spouse, Kuanysh Bazargaliyev, began actively participating in art exhibitions back in 1995 and quickly gained fame among the connoisseurs. His works can be found in the National Museum of Kazakhstan in Nur-Sultan, Christie's London, Turkish State Art and Sculpture Museum, as well as in private collections in Kazakhstan, Germany, Israel, Russia, USA, Switzerland, Austria, and other countries. Together with Saule Suleimenova, they were the only artists who represented contemporary art of Kazakhstan at the World Citizens Assembly in 2001 in France. I've had a wonderful poster for Fridays for Future. Fridays for Future? Yes, before the pandemic, there was a huge demonstration in Berlin of children that came from all over the world. At that time, I was in Berlin, and I made a poster, "You have a choice." And I made it out of plastic bags, so it was cool, easy. I had an exhibition there at the time, and Berlin people brought me plastic bags, quite a lot. They're literally worth their weight in gold because they are banned there, and people brought these precious bags. Here in Kazakhstan, fans of Saule's work also often bring raw materials, which later become material for paintings. Once, an elderly neighbor gave her a bunch of bags that she had collected for at least 20 years. However, not everyone perceives such art positively. There were also examples of outright hostility. It was different. Some people were hostile. I remember this exhibition at the National Museum in 2017. People wrote about it on Facebook. There was a very large coverage. There were a lot of reposts on Facebook, and there were a lot of negative comments. There were a lot of haters. However, they were always balanced out by complimentary comments.
Вот. Ну, они так интересно, они всегда уравновешивались такими какими-то комплиментарными вещами.
As they say, there is no prophet in his own country. While fellow countrymen follow the innovations of modern art with caution, foreign connoisseurs happily invite our masters to visit. I had a big exhibition in London. I exhibited my work Kelin there, which I made in 2015. This is a huge work, 25 square meters. Then in Berlin, I showcased several of my works from different series. There was an exhibition at the Lahore Biennial in Pakistan. And I can proudly say that the entire series that was exhibited in Lahore was acquired by Sharjah Art Foundation.
Была выставлена в Лахоре, ее приобрела Sharjah Art Foundation.
The roots of Saule's talent may seem quite obvious, as she grew up in a creative environment surrounded by cultured, educated people who are not alien to art. An excellent example for the girl became her father, Timur, who was an honored figure of Kazakhstan, the founder and president of Kazakh Designers Union. He is known to many as one of the creators of modern tenge design. Tell us what you were like in your childhood, your youth. I was a perfect child, obedient, everything was fine. Then, when my mom and dad split up, something in me changed. I really liked watching my dad draw. I strove for him with all my heart. By hook or by crook, I lied to my mother and grandmother that I was going somewhere else in order to see him. A talented person is talented in everything. Already in her school years, Saule tried her hand at different genres. At the age of 12, I decided that I was a genius and that I couldn't just sit in class and follow the instructions. I started writing poems. Do you remember anything from these childhood poems? I remember that on the 8th of March I wrote something. I went to my dad. I usually came for lunch. They all went to dine at the Writers' Union, Qalamgir Cafe. And they were all so cool, insanely beautiful, insanely fashionable. All those extremely amazing people gathered in that cafe, and I read my poems to them. Celebrating 8th of March, the men put us on pedestal, the heights and glory of which no one wants to leave. Daddy laughed for so long, loudly. What a symbolic joke! You and I met before on March 8th at the Women's March. Perhaps these childhood memories of how her father loved to spend time painting later influenced the choice of the young girl. It started somewhere around 16 when I realized that the only way to be at peace with myself, with my soul, is to start drawing.
Со своей душой это начать рисовать.
No troubles could make the young artist stop doing what the soul required. Perhaps even then she knew that this would become the work of her whole life. I fell from a tree, broke my spine, and was arrested several times. Arrested? What for? Well, I used to shave my head, and they already knew me by name because I looked different. But for me, it seemed that every going outside is a work of art, a performance.
Это произведение искусства, это есть перформанс.
The artist sees the surrounding world as the subject of her art, and the life itself, with its joys and difficulties, as a source of inspiration. Often, her works reflected personal experiences. transitioned between the periods of Saule's life. However, not all paintings were intended for public display. There was a series of works, Drunken Angels. When I got married for the first time, I painted the entire hallway with my drunken angels. And then my mother-in-law gave me a roll of wallpaper and told me to cover it up. I refused.
Сказала, чтобы я это все заклеила. Я сказала, что я это не буду делать.
The artist, alas, did not find understanding of her creative idea in her new family. This conflict prompted the eventual split. But life moves on, and Saule's two daughters, Suleimenova and Medina, became the embodiment of Saule as a mother. I'm so grateful to my daughters, my children, that they opened my eyes anew, that I decolonized myself again, so to speak. And now you have a grandson. This is usually a new era in life. How do you feel about it? It's pure love. It's just pure love. It's an amazing thing. I'm just enjoying myself, and I think he is too. I can spend so much time around him and never notice, because I simply enjoy it. This is a very nice person. He has an amazing personality, although he's still small, not even 2 years old. But he is a wonderful person with whom I feel very good. Sometimes it seems to me that it's my dad. It might be my dad. I don't know, maybe he came back like this, but for sure he's my soulmate. Is he also drawn to art? He understands everything perfectly. When he was smaller, about 8 months old, he could point to work and say, "Granny," that is, it was my work, or "Gramps." He understands all this very well. When he hears the word artist, he immediately says, "Granny." To me, it seems that you and Kuanysh incarnated in your grandson as the parents of a son whom you did not have. But he came to you in this form, and with him you look like newlyweds. Well, yes. I think that you can learn a lot from young people, from children. I look at my children and my grandson, and I learn from them how to live. So many fresh, cool ideas, so much everything. I really love talking to them, to their friends. Many people, without knowing it, are familiar with the work of Saule Suleimenova through murals. One of the most famous ones is located in Almaty on Sakensi Food and Street. It has a grandmother and 2 grandchildren, with binoculars. Yes, with binoculars. There's a photo of the French house from a window, and you can see a bus stop full of people. And the characters are like giants there. I'm doing this kind of a banner for the 4th time. The 3 previous times, I used 3 different walls. I used a wall of an old apartment building, next to our building, an old shabby wall. Then there was a garage wall. Then there was a wall, not a wall, construction fencing with pictures of Astana on it. I traditionally ask my interviewees about their plans for the future or cherished dreams, and more often than not, artistic people dream exclusively about art. For a long time, I have a dream to erect a large installation from plastic bags. I would like it to stand and slowly fade, weathered on the street, all made of plastic bags. If someone could finally organize this, it would be great.
Когда кто-нибудь наконец это сможет организовать, было бы здорово.
Perhaps soon we will be able to see such a large-scale installation in one of the streets of Nur-Sultan or Almaty. But dozens of works by Kuanysh, Bazargaliyev and Saule Suleimenova already adorn the exhibition halls of different cities of the world, reminding their visitors of what talented people live in Kazakhstan. Whether your own life will be as full of bright colors as the life of Saule and Kuanysh is up to you. But for now, Pride moves on to tell you new stories. Until next time.